If you want to do psychological assessment, but your program doesn't offer a lot of experiences, here are some tips. If you're attending an APA accredited PsyD or PhD program, chances are that they'll probably expose you to assessment via your coursework. Assessment is one of those clinical experiences that you really have to do repeatedly. One of my favorite supervisors always told me that volume is your teacher, and so getting a lot of exposure to complex cases, depending on what you want to specialize in, will be really important. Before jumping into an assessment-only practicum, something I would suggest is to reflect on the types of assessment you want to do. So some people do projective testing, other people do neuropsychological testing. I, for instance, do neurodevelopmental testing. And so think about what populations or what potential diagnoses you're wanting to assess. So for example, are you wanting to assess for personality disorders versus are you wanting to assess children pre and post surgery who have complex medical conditions? Or are you wanting to assess for neurodiversity like ADHD or autism? All of those things will be really important when you're choosing your practicum where you will dive into evaluation. When I was in grad school, I would tell people, yeah, I really like assessment. And they would look at me like I had two heads. And so just so you know, assessment as a psychologist is not as common. We are the minority of psychologists who really like to do evaluations. And why? Well, it could be intimidating. Learning and practicing psychological assessment tools in a standardized way can be intimidating. Writing complex reports and turning them back in a very quick manner, that's a lot of work, a lot of writing. Interpreting complex cases and being fluent in integrating the data that you collect or compile while you're evaluating someone is also really tricky. If you're not wanting to commit to that full year of assessment practicum, you can also supplement your training by reading some books that are written on assessment. For example, like how to do bilingual assessment as a monolingual psychologist, or how to write really comprehensive reports, or best ways to give feedback to individuals during the assessment process, etc. There are also online courses that you can take. I think there's some through the American Academy of Neuropsychology, if that's your thing. There's also the IDEA Cornell webinars that are focused on neurodiversity, as well as the Testing Psychologist podcast that I really like.